Okay, thank you everybody for joining us this evening. Before we start our meeting, I'd like Pastor Jack Marez from the Word of Life Church to come forward for an opening invocation. Pastor.
Heavenly Father, we come before you this evening, Lord, to thank you, Lord, for your goodness and your graciousness, Lord. We ask you, oh God, to bless our city council members, our mayor, Lord, and the rest who are here today, Lord, and to bless them to make the right decisions that are brought up here tonight, Lord. We ask you to keep your hand upon our police and fire department and emergency responders, Lord, and keep smiling down on this community, Lord, and help it to grow and enjoy peace and comfort. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I'd like to call this meeting to order for September 17th, 2025. And Chief, if we could have the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
We'd have a roll call, please.
Sanders. Here. Chavez.
Here.
Lewis.
Here.
Amabil.
Here. And the first item is consideration of the agenda as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as submitted. Any questions or comments? Not hearing any. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carried. And right before we go to a public forum, I want to read a statement because of the election that's taken place. We've all had a lot of questions what the status of the election is from August 26th. A lot of texts and questions. So this is from Merced County Elections Department. The Merced County Elections Department has completed all activities associated with the Las Banas City Council District 1 special election held on August 26, 2025. Last week, the election department informed us that while California Election Code allows up to 30 days after the election to certify an election as official, certification of this election would occur earlier than expected. Originally scheduled for the week, certification was advanced to September 17th, 2025, in order to accommodate the preparation for the statewide special election in November 4th of this year. Certification process, 7 ballots were identified as eligible to be cured due to non-matching signatures or similar issues. The deadline for those voters to cure their ballots was extended to September 15th, 2025, and each voter was contacted directly by the elections office. To ensure accuracy, the elections department conducted a complete hand count of all ballots in addition to the tabulation by voting equipment. The hand count matched the machine count in every respect. As of the date and time of today, the City of Las Banas has not yet received the official certification results from the Merced County Elections Department. Once the official results are received, the city will schedule acceptance of the results and the oath of office for the new city council member, which is anticipated to take place at the October 1st, 2025, the regular city council meeting. We appreciate the elections department, and they express their appreciation for all the work of the candidates and the City of Las Banas, election staff, and all the voting public, ensuring this election was conducted in a safe, fair, transparent, and efficient manner. Okay, I just wanted to read that off before we go to our public forum, because I thought maybe a few people might have that question in public forum. Now it's all presented to you. So at this time, I'll open the public forum to the members of the public may address the city council on any item within the jurisdiction of this city. This includes agenda and non-agenda items. You may come up to the podium and speak for 5 minutes in your presentation. And we can't take any action on agenda and non-agenda items at the podium. But please, you're welcome. Please introduce yourself to the...
Hello, my name is Carlos Flores, District 1. I'm here to talk about the hexavalent chromium in the water. Last time I came to the city council meeting, Amabile did give a response saying that the chromium-3 has been in the aquifers in the water underground for thousands of years. It's true. But the thing is that we didn't have all this industrialization and farming going on, right? And so that is actually speeding up the process of the chromium-6, because the chromium-3, because there's not enough water in the aquifers to dilute the chromium-3, becomes chromium-6. And that's what we're getting into the wells, and that's what we're getting into our drinking waters, okay? But I'm assuming that a lot of these issues have come in the past over the years about contamination and just in general, right? From what I understand, the issue about the airport has been around since 2008, and nothing has been handled about the contamination that's going on over there, okay? One of my theories is that there's a big developer, there's a lot of developers in this town, right? And so you guys know those developers because you guys allowed them to come in here, right? And so the thing is, though, is what happens is how much influence do those developers have on the city council, right? Or the city in general? Because from what I understand, there's more houses coming to Los Baños. I don't know when the stores are going to come in because there's none, right? Not for the size of the city. But if there is future contracts to build more houses, I can understand why the contamination issue is being kind of, how can I say it, not talked about in a sense. Because would you buy a house in a place where the wells are contaminated? And from what I understand, the 2 wells over there by the airport are the most contaminated. So I know you guys are looking for a new place for the airport, right? So what I understand, so what's going to happen with that land over there by the airport? Is there houses going to be built there? Because from what I understand, right, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't go out looking for people. They come to me and let me know what's going on in this city. Some of it I take it with a grain of salt, and some of them I take it with a lot of salt, right? Just for the fact that I know how small towns are. I come from Gilroy. We have the same issue, right? We're always fighting back and forth, right? Right, left, liberals, moderates, rah, 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 right? But do you guys really want to get together, no matter what your party line is, to actually resolve these issues? Because it's not hard, right? The only thing is the people backing up whoever they're representing or whoever their donations are going to, right? And then you got people who want to do good, right? And then they get into, what do you call it, an environment like this, and we don't know what happens on the city council where people, if they were good at one time, and then all of a sudden became one of those politicians, right? So to me, I'm not taking the chromium-3 situation lightly, especially if you guys are going to build more houses, knowing that more and more of the chromium-6 is out there. From what I understand, it's throughout the whole valley, right? Because thousands of years ago, the whole valley was just grasslands and wetlands. There was none of this going on. But as soon as we started establishing cities, doing what the United States does best, just build, and contaminate, right? So what I'm saying is I just want to put that out there because I don't take it with a grain of salt when you try to downgrade any type of poison in the water, right? Because now you're messing with humans, right? My kids, my dogs, my families, right? And so I just want to put that out there that I'm going to keep on doing my research on this situation and find out what is the big issue. Why has this been suppressed for so long, right? Especially in communities that I would assume from Sacramento all the way to Bakersfield have the same issues. So humans have created this mess. Okay? So I just want to put that out there because I don't want people downgrading the important issues. And I don't want to talk mess about anybody over here, but a lot of times people come up here, they talk about things that I don't think they're important, right? But from what I understand, government, city councils, state governments, federal governments are for the people. We elect you guys, right? But as soon as you guys get in, things change. It's about, well, who's going to donate to me? Or who do I need to scratch somebody's back to get what I need to get, right? And so we know how politics works. So I just want to let you know that we're going to be a thorn on your guys' side because we live in this community and we want to know exactly what's going on. So just to let you guys know, I just want to put that out there. And I had to make a response to that comment because I don't think any poison, pesticides, anything has anything to do with us in general. When they spray in these fields and our windows are open, guess who's breathing that in? But because it's become common practice with whatever system was implemented, we try to make it seem that it's right. But in some communities, it's not right, right? For the people who are making the money, the people who are making all the cash, it's cool with them because they're going to live their life rich and die off, all right? But I just want to put that off because the people who don't have the money to fight this at the level that other people have, we have to join together because there's more power in the people than there is behind money, all right? So I just want to put that out there. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else, please come forward. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council members and Los Banos City staff. My name is Larry Byers. I am a proud member of the Tree Commission of Los Banos. Tonight I will not be talking about trees, but I will be talking about improved health care. I had occasion to use Memorial Hospital recently and Riggs Ambulance. I had an accident at home. And basically, the ambulance came and took me to Memorial Hospital here. I received excellent care from Riggs Ambulance and equally excellent care from Los Banos Memorial Hospital as well. They treated me and released me, and I'm doing much better now. The accident was a month ago. I had an accident in my home. There's one thing I learned about Los Banos Memorial Hospital. It is a part of the Sutter healthcare system. And what I've been learning is that Los Banos Memorial it does not meet current earthquake standards. So what I've been learning is that there was going to be a need to retrofit the existing Memorial Hospital. And Sutter Health has decided that that's going to be too expensive. They can't do that. So maybe I'm jumping the gun here, and it hasn't been announced officially, but I understand Sutter is going to be building a new hospital in our community, and that's a good thing. It's a wonderful thing that they'll build a new hospital. One thing that the hospital needs to have, I think, when the hospital is built, is it needs to be equipped with a trauma center. Now, what is a trauma center? Trauma center is a different level of care than can be provided by Memorial Hospital. There are 5 levels of trauma centers in hospitals across the country. And right now, in the county of Merced, there is no hospital here in Merced, including Mercy Hospital in Merced County, that has a trauma center. So trauma center is going to be handling cases of bad traffic accidents, cases of injuries, cases that require a higher level of staffing. So the 5 levels of trauma centers, the top level, number 1, is the best level. The bottom level is the least amount of care. But at any rate, trauma centers will offer more care and will actually be able to take care of situations. Being a resident for 26 years, I read the Los Banos Enterprise and the West Side Express and read about accidents happening on 152 and Interstate 5, and their major accidents involving major injuries for the people involved. And in the newspaper articles, you're reading that the accident victims were transported by air ambulance to Modesto area hospitals. They were not taken to Los Banos Memorial because we don't have a trauma center here. So I know our mayor is behind increasing the quality of health care that we're receiving here. There is a situation where salaries are very low in the Central Valley for healthcare professionals, and our mayor here understands that and is trying to work with government officials that we can raise salaries for healthcare professionals, and that's important that if we build a new hospital, or Sutter builds a new hospital, that we get the right kind of people staffing the hospital so they can take care of trauma cases and give us the best possible care. So my hope is that our mayor here will continue with his efforts to increase the level of the salaries that our healthcare professionals are receiving. And I'm hoping that the city council will also help and support our mayor in that effort. One thing that Sutter will gain is if we have a trauma center here at our hospital, our new hospital, once it's built, is that they'll receive additional revenue, which is a motivating factor for any company to establish something like a trauma center. So that is the plus side for Sutter. So my hope is that our mayor will continue the fight, and I hope that the city council will also do the same. So thank you for listening.
Thank you, Larry, and I'm glad you're doing better.
Thank you.
Anyone else, please come forward. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Amal Maroof. I'm a student in Merced College. I'm speaking on behalf of all students in Merced College. I'm here to thank Mr. Amabile for his visit last week for the economic class and Mr. Timothy McNally class. And I just want to say thank you for visiting our class in Merced College and taking the time to listen to all of our questions and concerns. We truly appreciate your thoughtful responses, the advice you share, and the insight from your experience. Your support for students and dedication to the community are inspiring, and your visit has encouraged us to stay engaged and think about how we can contribute to make our community stronger in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. No one else, please come forward. You're welcome. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and council members and staff. If I try to remember everybody's name, I'm going to leave somebody out. But just please take my great thanks for being on the West Side again. I got in late last night from Southern California, San Clemente area, and you talk about some water issues. They have got them. And they are deeply involved in a couple of projects. One is wastewater, where they're trying to get their effluent adequately treated. The other big thing you may have heard about is that they are engaged fully in a desalination project around Doheny. Those of you who remember the Beach Boys, and some of us do, remember that song about Doheny Way. Well, that's the big project right now. It's a multi-million-dollar project, and we can only hope that it's not going to meet the same fate as our high-speed rail here in the Central Valley. Mr. Mayor, I'm going to be real quick here. You know, I've had two people ask me just last couple of days how many terms you have served as mayor, and I want to be accurate. Can you?
I'm on my 7th term.
7th term. Now,
some people think it's too long.
Well, that's always the case, isn't it? But I admire you. I've never said that publicly, okay? I admire you for giving your life to the city of Los Banos, and that's what it takes. Those of you who have served on the council know what I'm speaking about. Deborah, I admire your courage, especially. I won't go into detail, but, Chief Breezy, I can't think of a better combo to serve the public than we've had over the last several years of yourself and the current chief. You guys are great. Ray, and then, of course, there's Lucy. Now, Lucy's tough, but you're going to have somebody tough in that position. I'm going to be quiet now, which is unusual. But if in closing, I'd like to talk about water a bit. I hadn't planned on doing that, but I've run 3 water districts in California and 3 or 4 cities, and it's always the same. It's the effluent. Atwater is still struggling with DBCP, which is a solvent used to clean aircraft. In the valley, we struggle a number of communities with 1,2,3 TCP. And that was a fumigant used in the mid-50s by Dow and Shell, oil companies, to counteract, well, I got 1 minute left. Okay. Nematodes. I have been quoted as saying that Los Banos is it's not necessarily a destination. It's an outpost. But in recognizing that, you've got, from some of the people that I've just mentioned, you've got tremendous talent here. And if you treat them right, you train them well, you're going to do nothing but get wins for your constituents. With that, Mr. Mayor, I'm going to close off my remarks. I was going to indicate that what we went through to get UC Merced here, and I should probably say I'm the one that negotiated Sutter to take over our health care. Some people still won't forgive me for that, but they eventually decided to raise the white flag because of one issue. And that one issue, keep this in mind, is indigent and charity care. And I think they still call it that. So it's in the Welfare and Institutions Code, certainly was the last time I looked, and that has put, I'm going to say, countless hospitals, county hospitals, out of business, and has reduced the level of care that we're able to provide to our constituents. Mr. Mayor, thank you for the time, and my best to you.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak? Please come forward. You're all welcome to speak. Welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. My name is Blanche George, and I wanted to talk to you about a little progress report. The good thing is that we've been working together, a whole group of individuals that your staff that are really good as far as with the animals in our community. I'm not going to repeat about the things about forming, something special to attract vets. In fact, if we look at the veterinarian in whole, the veterinarians, they actually meet almost on a monthly basis in Monterey, and they have conferences. So if the chief gets a call that there's this girl, with a sign saying we need vets, that's me, chief. So we have, so there's been a progress going all year long as far as going throughout all the different neighborhoods to reduce the feral population. The reason why that's really important is that they don't have rabies shots, right? And they do populate. So essentially what's so critical about this is that we need to go ahead and make sure that that reduction is happening for the sake of our community and for the health of our community. And that's the animals are all listed under the police department, only because it is health and safety, So I just wanted to let you know, I have been this past month with a few others doing a neighborhood count of feral cats. And they're different than stray cats. And I'll discuss that in the future. I have arranged on going out to community events and educating individuals about that. But just so you can know, for the last week, in fact, there was a need, there was 21 cats found in one location, and they were feral. They're actually, they were in District 4. And with 3 days of focusing on these ferals, they have all been trapped. They all went to rescues, and our wonderful shelter absorbed 4 of the kittens. 2 of them were Siamese, so they went great. But nevertheless, there has been a continuous reduction. They all don't go through the shelter. A lot of them go through other rescues that I have contact with. So I will be getting you those numbers and getting you the numbers that are in every neighborhood. And should you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call me. If you see me at a community event, I'll be happy to go ahead and answer any questions. But the community has been getting one-to-one conversations and teachings about what's around us and what's in their neighborhood. So I want to thank you for that opportunity and thank the police department and the shelter for having patience with me and working with me as far as with the feral cats. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Please come forward. Welcome.
I'd like to say thank you for the opportunity to address you, Mr. Mayor, council people, and all the staff. It's a pleasure to be here tonight, particularly. I have two expressions of gratitude to bring you tonight. Number one is my enduring gratitude for your choice in selecting Neron 10 as an incoming city manager, and I consider that to be an extremely fortunate and a wise choice. I think we'll benefit a great deal because of Neron's experience, his history, his exposure to what we've been doing here in Los Banos, and the confrontations we deal with in terms of water, in terms of transportation, and a whole long list of projects and other activities that are being driven, designed, delayed in some cases, or extended by the engineers around us. That's not not an inexpensive position to be in. And so knowing that Neron has the qualifications that he does, I think that brings me to my second part, the second thank you, and that's to thank Neron for accepting the offer and for accepting the challenges and what he's going to be facing. And I know that so many of the confrontations we've had have been addressed while Neron was here earlier on. And we found that his abilities as an engineer have really opened the door for a lot of internal improvements and a lot of avoiding the misdirections that we might experience in other circumstances. So I want to thank Neron for coming back. And I'm again like to thank the council and all those involved in making a decision like this. And I look forward to the benefits we're going to receive. And we're going to bring those water people back together and the transportation people back together again, which has never been done in the past this way. And they're on our side now, and all they're asking for is our partnership. And as we move forward, we're going to find that they're really on our side. And Neron's going to help that happen, I'm sure. So thank you all very much. And that doesn't mean I need to keep talking. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else, please come forward. Okay, I do not see or hear anyone coming forward. I appreciate everybody that spoke at the public forum. I'll go ahead and close the public forum at this time. We'll move on to our agenda. The first item 6, is consideration of approval of the consent agenda. And Lucy, if you could read the items on the consent agenda.
Items on the consent agenda are as follows. Warrant number 253549 through 253743 in the amount of $1,549,431.04. City Council Resolution number 6983, approving the annual local transportation fund claim to be filed with the Merced County Association of Governments for fiscal year 2024-25. City Council Resolution number 6984, authorizing and ratifying the city's participation in the Homeland Security Grant Program and authorizing the city manager on behalf of the City of Los Banos to enter into the standard grant assurance agreement with Cal OES and a subrecipient agreement with the County of Merced. City Council Resolution number 6985, approving and electing to opt in to the Purdue Settlement and Secondary Manufacturers Settlement and authorizing the city manager to execute participation agreements and related documents relating to the National Opioid Settlements. And the items are to be approved as submitted.
Okay, is there any council members that would like to pull anything off the consent agenda for further discussion?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to pull item number 6D for discussion.
Okay, 6D. Anyone else? If we have a motion to approve all items except for 6D.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda except for item 6D as submitted.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and second as stated. Any further questions or comments? Not hearing any. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Motion passed. And we'll now turn to item 6D, which is Council Resolution 6985. And for this, Bill, I have you down and I have Gary down. So, and it's Stacy. Okay.
Maybe we can start with Councilmember Lewis. If, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Yes, so this is about, just with a little history, there were other companies back in 2021, McKesson, Johnson & Johnson, a few other pharmaceutical companies that had lawsuits filed against them, and I think this may have been through the federal government where they were required to pay out monies for drugs. So we have several companies, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, probably about 7 companies that have some large sums of money in the millions of dollars that we have a possibility of being able to garner. $440 million are designated for the state of California. I'm not sure if that's for the whole state or if it's just for Merced County, but nonetheless, I think we probably will be going through Merced County to get these monies from the federal government for the lawsuits and then distribute it to the local area. So my reason for pulling this is to help inform the public who is here as to what the city of Los Banos has plans to do with this money and whether or not there's thought that it might be coming down to us or whether or not we're going to use Merced County to distribute it to us. And I think with this program that all the cities, municipalities within the county have to apply for this, if I'm correct on that, in order for the grant, for us to be eligible for the grant. So this is more of just getting more information out to you with these opioids that that have been considered in the lawsuit, and even Narcan is one of the drugs that's in here. So just want to give you a heads up so you can help us understand how this is going to work.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Councilmember Lewis. So you are correct. So $440 million has been allocated from the Purdue settlement to California. And it does depend on how many jurisdictions go through this opt-in process of what then will be allocated to the jurisdictions. What we are proposing thus far is that the Housing Division would like to use the funds to assist unhoused people with access to substance use treatment and for the development of inpatient detox beds, but that would be a program that we would have to develop, and that's just an idea that we would like to explore further to be able to use these funds, as that would be an eligible use. The other option would be to then take our allocation and turn that over to the county, the Department of Public Health, and then they would utilize the funds countywide.
So let's take, for instance, the detox. If we kept the money, would that be to purchase bed space for residents in our city through the county? Or are we looking at trying to run a detox program of our own?
It would be to use a service provider to provide that service to the community.
Okay, okay. All right, so there are other monies out there, $700 million, $19 million, $74 million with possible $177 million. And these are other pharmaceutical companies, $44 million, $35 million, $98 million, $75 million, $290 million, and 2 companies that are required to pay $32 million and $15 million immediately. So I'm not sure how that's going to come down, because this is throughout the United States, not just California. So it'll be interesting to see how that washes out and how that's going to affect our city and our county to be able to garner some of those funds.
If I may add, and I do apologize that I didn't open up that Christy McCammond, our housing program manager, was planning to be here tonight to speak about this item should the council have any questions. But unfortunately, she had an emergency with her father that she needed to attend to. And she is following these settlements very closely and following the eligibility criteria as well. So if any other funds, opioid funds become available that our community can utilize, we're definitely going to be tracking them and see how we can utilize those funds for our community.
And again, just for public information, the $440 million that is a settlement for the state of California is coming from Purdue, who has filed bankruptcy. So I would assume that and their payout from the bankruptcy is $6.5 billion. So that's a lot of money. And I'm sure it'll be going to a lot of other states in this country to help with the same problem. Thank you very much.
Okay, so before us is Resolution 6985. It's approving to electing to opt in on the Purdue settlement as stated. So any further questions on this item from the council? We have a motion, please.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for Resolution 6985 as stated. Any further questions or comments? Not hearing any, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Next item is San Luis Reservoir update presentation. And Gary, you want to open this up for us?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tonight, I'm pleased to present to you all Pablo Arroyave from the San Luis and Delta Mendota Water Authority. He's the Chief Operating Officer for that group. And I just want to say, Pablo, thank you. And up front, I reached out to him and some other staff members on the project. And I think within 2 days, we had settled on date, time of presentation, painless. You were fantastic, Pablo. So I want to say thank you to you for being here tonight. It's a big project for the city of Los Banos. Everyone drives by it all the time. And so thank you. And I'll turn the floor over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Brizzi, Mayor, members of the City Council. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about this really important overdue project, frankly. I realized I had these in my vehicle, but then I realized that I did not have the easel. So I'm going to try to do my best. One of them is kind of duplicitous of the slides, but one of them I think I will speak to a little bit, but I'll do my best to show that to you. Real quickly, San Luis Delta Mendota Water Authority, we operate and maintain the Delta Mendota Canal, which goes from Tracy all the way to Mendota, California. We operate and maintain Jones Pumping Plant, thank you, which is the largest federal pumping plant in the Delta, and we operate O'Neill Pumping Plant, which is just west of Santa Nella. You all probably know those features. We're Reclamation's O&M contractor. We have been since the 90s, so they entrust us to operate and maintain those facilities. We also pursue projects that are of mutual interest of some or all of our members, and that's what we're talking about here today. So the Sis Dam Raise project is a joint project between us, the Water Authority, through our members, and the Bureau of Reclamation. You all have probably seen the very significant construction work that's going on at San Luis Reservoir. It's been going on for the last several years. It will be ongoing for several more years. That's because Sis Dam is the largest reclamation safety of dams project ever. There are seismic concerns associated with that facility, and as reclamation is done throughout the West, they're retrofitting that facility based on updated seismic information. I think the Ortigalita fault is of particular note. So the Safety of Dams project, I can't walk and chew gum, but I'm going to give this a shot. The Safety of Dams project is reclamation, fortifying the foundation through additional berms, but also adding 10 feet onto the top of the dam. That 10 feet, though, provides no additional storage benefit. It's what we refer to as just freeboard. So it's raising the dam, but there's no water supply benefit associated with that. What we're doing in partnership with Reclamation is after the 10 feet is raised for the Safety of Dam project, we, in partnership with Reclamation, are going to add another 10 feet onto the top of the dam. A total of 20 feet additional, 10 feet, which will provide additional storage, 130,000 acre feet of additional water supply when the reservoir is full. That's significant. That's about 15% increase in the Central Valley Project share of San Luis Reservoir. That space would have filled in 2011, 2017, 2019, 2023, probably in 2024. As you all probably have experienced, this great state of California, we can have chock full, every reservoir in the state full, like we did in 2019. 2 years later, we were close to panic and approaching dead pool in some of the most significant reservoirs in the state. That's not sustainable looking into the future, and that's why this project is so important. This 130,000 acre feet would provide critical drought supplies for the Central Valley Project and reclamation during those droughts that are certainly coming soon. The estimated cost of the project is about $1 billion. The 152 modification, that may be what is of particular interest because of concern over the traffic implications associated with the fact that we'll have to raise the highway. There's about 3/4 of a mile that goes over Cottonwood Bay in San Luis Reservoir. That's a stretch that'll have to be, the slope will have to come up 10 feet, and that will cause some impacts, and I'll get into those in later slides. So right now, the Safety of Dams project that I talked about, there's 3 phases. Reclamation has issued the phase 2 contract, and that contract should be complete by the end of 2028, early 2029. That's when our project begins, the beginning of 2029. These are aggressive schedules, but that's what we're pushing for. That's when the additional 10 feet is added. That's when the 10 feet will be added to that small stretch of Highway 152. We're pushing for completion in 2031. Again, that is very aggressive, but we think the sooner we can get this project online, the better for everyone. The 152 modification, as it stands right now, this is $1 billion project to raise less than a mile of the road by 10 feet is almost $500 million of the project. So we're working with Caltrans. We think we have an opportunity to significantly reduce that cost. That's what we're focused on right now. We're in discussions with Caltrans. We're doing a traffic study right now. We're looking at what the traffic impacts will be, lane closures, timing aspects, what the haul routes would be. This is really this is when we're formulating the project is right now. We know there's going to be issues here, and we're doing our best to get ahead of those. Project report is in development. That meets a Caltrans requirement. They're going to have to approve our plan moving forward. Because of the traffic concerns, very valid concerns, both commuters, emergency response concerns, 152 is obviously critical to anyone, probably everyone that lives in Los Banos, both sides of the valley for sure. We plan to begin community engagement and outreach, a concerted effort in early 2028. But in the interim, I'm happy to come back as we develop better insight into what the impacts will be, but there will be an organized outreach effort in 2028 when we've got all those details nailed down. And lastly, these are the projects that are, these are the water districts that are participating. We have Valley Water, which is the wholesale entity for, I think, 11 or 12 Bay Area communities, including San Jose. They're very interested in this project. Westlands Water District, which is the largest irrigation district in the nation. They're a partner. City of Tracy, up in the northern part of the system. Byron Bethany, which is also outside of Tracy. Del Puerto Water District, which headquartered in Patterson, but really straddles about, I think, 40 or 50 miles of the Delta Mendota Canal. Del Puerto is an important partner. And San Benito Water District, which is in the Bay Area also, Hollister. They're also an M&I, municipal and industrial water user. So that's the extent of my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, Deborah, go ahead, Deborah.
Thank you, Mayor. So Is there a date certain at this point when the raising of 152 around the dam is supposed to take place? And how long will it take for completion?
We're estimating it'll take about a year, and the earliest that would be is 2029, 2030. It may get pushed. We're working aggressively on this schedule, but we're taking the time right now to make sure the implications to traffic are managed as well as possible with this type of project. But still a few years out, but approaching quickly.
And on that last page of the presentation, you have these various water districts, and some in San Benito County and the city of Tracy. Are they all drawing from the pool of water at San Luis Reservoir?
They are. They're all districts that presently benefit from the federal side of San Luis Reservoir. San Luis Reservoir is jointly managed between the state and Reclamation. Roughly half of the water goes to the Central Valley Project, the federal project. These are all federal contractors that presently benefit from the project.
Okay. And is that specifically for agriculture or any other use?
It's agricultural, Westlands, for example, but it's also municipal and industrial water supply. Valley Water and San Benito are primarily municipal and industrial providers. And then also the wetlands in the grassland complex around Los Banos benefit from storage in San Luis Reservoir. They're not directly participating in this side of the project, but the refuge system will benefit from the reclamation part of the project.
And what about the city of Tracy? What is their usage for?
That's municipal and industrial.
Municipal only. Okay.
Predominantly, no, it's a mix of both ag and municipal industrial. Most of these are a mix. Valley Water is probably 95% municipal industrial, 5% ag. Westlands is the opposite, but most of the districts have both municipal supplies and agricultural supplies.
And for my own curiosity, for the city of Tracy, would any of this water be going to the new developments out there in Tracy Hills? Or is this going into the city of Tracy itself?
I'm not aware what the arrangements are between Tracy Hills and the city of Tracy, but I think it is a fair assumption that some of this water would be supporting the development that's going on there. Okay. Yeah, I think that would be fair.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So it increases your capacity by 15%, you said.
Correct.
So does that just mean all the different entities that takes water from San Luis Dam between ag and municipal just share a little bit more of that 15%, or is there a different ratio of the 15% that goes out?
That's a great question. The investors, our members, are paying 70% of the project. So okay. The direct benefit for these districts is going to be 70% of 130,000, which is roughly 90,000 acre feet. The other 40,000 acre feet will be managed by the Bureau of Reclamation, and they've said that they just plan to use that additional capacity to further Central Valley Project priorities, which are M&I, ag, wetlands, all the purposes they have authorized. But really good question.
Pablo, can you try and point to that 3/4 mile length of road that's going to need to be raised? Is it pictured on there?
I think so. That is not the pointer.
Sorry
about that. Is there a pointer?
There is a pointer. There is a pointer. I think it's on the side.
On the side.
Yeah. Or is it somewhere, do you know where the rock bridge is? Oh, there you go.
So if you see the smaller body of water to the right on the picture, that's O'Neill Forebay.
Yes, sir.
San Luis Reservoir is the big reservoir, obviously. Right at the very top of the picture where the reservoir extends, you'll see that there's water on both sides of the earth. That earth is Highway 152. So that's Cottonwood Bay, the water to the north there. So that's the stretch that it will affect.
So is that Dinosaur Point?
No. Yeah. I think they call that, for some of the folks that have been here a while, they call it the rock bridge. because of the rocks underneath.
Yep, that's the same area. Yep,
Look at that.
exactly. Thank you.
Thank you, Stacy.
So where is Dinosaur Point in reference to this?
So where Stacy put that red circle, if you go to the left further west, behind where all the names of those companies are, is up where it is.
Could you circle it, Stacy?
It's not on the map.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a ways to the left.
it's behind the words.
Yeah.
Mr. Brizzi, I'm happy to send you any of this information via email for further distribution. Just let me know.
This was perfect.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Is there any further questions?
So I have one more,
Okay.
Mayor. So where the red circle is, going south down to the word San Luis Reservoir, from that point going down is the whole area where the road is going to be
No,
raised?
just the very
Just
tip.
one section?
Just one section, it's less than a mile.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, we really appreciate you coming and letting us know what's going on in the public that are seeing this at home on their TV. And keep us informed, like you said.
Absolutely.
We really
Thank you
appreciate
again for the invitation.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
We really appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, our next item is a public hearing. And if you challenge the proposed action in this public hearing, you will be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised at a public hearing described within correspondence or verbal delivery to the city at or prior to the public hearing. This public hearing is to receive public comment and consideration of a proposal amendment to the Mobile Food Vendor Ordinance, Article 36 of Title 9, Chapter 3 of the Los Banos Municipal Code. So we will first open the public hearing. We've already seen this once before the City Council. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing, that anyone has any item that they would like to talk to us about, the mobile vending new proposal ordinance, please come forward at this time. You have 3 minutes to speak. Like I said, we already did this at our last meeting, but you're welcome to come forward. Thank you.
It's me again.
That's good.
I just want to say thank you. You know, like I said, we have come a long way. And yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank you.
taking the time to listen to us and everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming forward. Anyone else, please come forward. Okay, I do not see or hear anyone coming forward, so I'll close the public hearing and turn it back to the council. Stacy, you have anything to add to this at all? Just maybe.
I just wanted to give a brief overview that staff is requesting that the city council would waive the second reading, adopt the proposed amendment for the mobile food vendor ordinance number 1209. And this is primarily an amendment to the ordinance to allow the use of temporary furniture, which is tables, canopies, and chairs, in conjunction with mobile food vending, and then second, establish a process and standard for mobile food truck parks. I went through a detailed presentation during the first reading, so I wasn't planning to do that tonight, but if you'd like me to, I do have that PowerPoint teed up if you need me to refer to that. But otherwise, staff is just asking for the council to waive the second reading and adopt the proposed amendment as provided within the staff report. That concludes my report.
Any of the council have any questions for Stacy before we make any motions? Okay, not seeing any, well, then I will take a motion to waive the second reading of ordinance number 1209.
I'd like to make a motion to waive the second reading of ordinance 1209 as read by title.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second as stated. Any further questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Now we need a motion to approve, to adopt, excuse me. Motion to adopt ordinance 1209.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance number 1209 as read by title.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion as stated. Any further questions or comments from the council? And this is a ordinance, so we need a roll call vote, please.
Sanders.
Yes.
Chavez.
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
Amador.
Yes. And again, I want to thank everybody that worked with the city council and staff putting this together. I think this benefits our community and the vendors. So we appreciate everybody's work on this. And now we'll move on to item number 9, Vineyard Drive, Dove Street and State Route 165 intersection and control alternatives. With this, I am, Joe, you want to take this? Okay, and Joe, they just said Gary will start.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I'm going to go ahead and fill in for Joe for just a second while they prep up that PowerPoint, just so I can take an opportunity to thank Joe for all his hard work on this. Everyone knows and loves Joe as our Parks and Rec Director. He's filling in as our Public Works Director, and he's done a fantastic job. I've thrown the kitchen sink at this guy, and he's able to evade them all. So I'm going to start calling him Neo from The Matrix, if anybody knows that reference. I also want to thank Anand, Arvinder, Ed, Jaime for being here to support us on this effort. It's been a big project. So, Joe.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So I also wanted to recognize our team from Caltrans here. They were in attendance for both public meetings that we'll discuss that we had for this project, as well as Ed Noriega from Mark Thomas was also in attendance for both. And just very much appreciate them educating me on this project. Tonight we'll be talking about the intersection at Vineyard Drive and State Route 165 on the east side is Dove Street, but I'm going to reference it as Vineyard Drive and 165 just for simplicity purpose. This project is a city-led effort, and it's been developed, obviously, like I said, with Caltrans. And you know, I said it during the public meeting, but I have really appreciated working with the Caltrans team. They for me, you know, on the outside of public works, a lot of times you work with, you think of state agencies as difficult to work with, but I think I was meeting with them every 3 days, it felt like at one point on this. So appreciate their help on that. And really what we're here discussing is just an important step in improving circulation in the city, safety, as well as emergency response with this intersection improvement. So here's kind of a zoomed out location. You can see that Vineyard Drive and Dove Street up there on the north side of town. Currently it does not connect, as you'll see throughout the presentation with some photos. And this is going to establish a full four-way intersection at that location. Taking a closer look at the current conditions, again, you can see the connection does not currently exist, and you'll see some, I guess you'd say, undeveloped space along the right-of-way to each side of the Highway 165 there. Let's see, going into our project review. Again, the goal of this project is to create a four-way connection at Vineyard Drive and 165. This is really driven from a number of reasons, including our traffic studies that have identified this need for an improvement at this location, and it's been incorporated into our long-range planning efforts. In addition to traffic flow, the project is also especially important for public safety. Currently, fire and police depend almost entirely on Santa Barbara and Overland to cross the north side of the city. So this new connection would provide another critical route to strengthen emergency response. We are still at the beginning of this process, and I know it feels like it's a project that's been discussed for a long time now. We did have, I'll talk about it later, but we did have a presentation to the public about a year ago, as well as one last month. But we are still very much in the beginning phase of this project. Concept development, environmental review, design, and ultimately construction is still to come. And ultimately, we will need to complete an application with Caltrans as part of this project as well. And again, some of the goals are, as laid out on the slide here, to connect
Vineyard and 165, provide an efficient intersection operation, as well as consider Caltrans requirements. It is along a state route. So getting into the public meetings and kind of throughout the presentation, I'll reference some comments that we received, but just to reference again, we hosted one on August 1st, 2024, so just over a year ago, as well as last month at the Community Center on August 17th. We had about 25 or so people come out to the August 17, 2025 meeting. Going back to the first meeting on August 1st, 2024, we had another good turnout that night, and we heard a lot of strong concerns, particularly about the roundabout option, and we've kind of carried those forward through our evaluation process. As we got into the second meeting, again, we received concerns about roundabouts relating to items such as pedestrian and safety-related items, and we'll get into that as we go through the presentation. And really, we felt that a need to have additional public meetings to provide additional information to the public, as well as receive information from the public on this particular project. And especially, we've seen leadership change across the city, obviously at the council level and in the department, as well as at the city manager level. So it felt like it was important to give the public every opportunity to provide their comments. Again, at both meetings, we heard a wide range of issues raised, things like large trucks, such as tomato haulers that could move safely through a roundabout, or how that would work. Like I said, pedestrian bicycle access has been a major topic. There were comments about park locations nearby. So, for example, down Dove Street is Skylark Park, and down Vineyard is Vineyard B Park. So there were some comments relating to that. And again, I'll kind of go through these later as well. Distance to residential homes, and of course, overall costs of the project. So we documented that information and try to carry that forward. I'll try to address as much as I can tonight, but we've also shared that with Ed's team, with Mark Thomas, to incorporate it into our design. Looking at what kind of connection we're talking about here, I think we're all familiar with the two options. There's a traffic signal and a roundabout, and so you can see those conceptual designs on the screen right now. In evaluating these alternatives, I think the focus has been about how it improves safety for drivers, pedestrians, and cyclists. How it's going to manage traffic flows and congestion, whether it can accommodate larger vehicles. We also want to look at things like right-of-way requirements, utilities, and of course costs, as well as environmental impacts. So before we get into some of the comparisons, did want to start off with looking at what type of roundabout that we are looking at as a possible intersection control at this location. So as you can see, circled in red there is the single lane roundabout that has 20 to 25 mile speeds. This is designed for an STAA truck, so this is larger than a tomato truck with two trailers, for example, but you can see it's a large semi-truck here. The design of the roundabout would include a truck apron to accommodate larger vehicles to be able to make those turns safely. And I'll spend a lot more time talking about the roundabout, primarily because I think most people are familiar with the traffic signal and what you see there. And in this case, it would be a four-way intersection with single lane each direction, and it's controlled by a signal. Before we continue on, I did want to show, just because we're on the topic of trucks, I did want to show a video of a roundabout going through a single lane roundabout at Liberty and 88. So if you see it here coming from kind of the top of your screen here, you can see what a semi-truck might look like going through a roundabout. So traffic continues there. I think there is a I think there's a two trailer
truck that also comes through. Just goes right there. So, all right. And then getting into the comparison of, sorry, bring this to full screen again. Getting into the comparisons between the two options here, we'll begin with something that is really the same between the traffic signal and the roundabout, which is utility and our right-of-way. So when you look at the screen, you'll see these red lines here. That's right-of-way space that the city controls and is able to work off of. And so you can see the right-of-way is the same. Additionally, the utilities lands within in this space. So there's really no impact there. There was a comment at the August 17th public meeting that suggested, hey, should we look at expanding this to 2 lanes? That's not recommended primarily because the traffic analysis doesn't call for it, but it would also require impacts to neighboring homes as far as right-of-way and utility impacts. Getting into the comparison of the operations of each intersection, traffic flow is one of the biggest parts of what we're looking at with this project. We have a couple slides looking at that as well as intersection times here. And so what you'll see here is that the roundabout does score better in the 2026 near-term model as well as the 2046 long-term model. And I also want to highlight that if you look at the top here, no build, you'll see that by 2046 we're looking at a pretty deteriorated level of service as far as traffic flows go. But again, if we focus on traffic signal and roundabout, we do see better traffic flow with a roundabout in both the AM and PM conditions. As we go into the intersection wait times, again, I'll highlight the no build option is really a deteriorated level of service that would be provided. Heading to looking at the traffic signal, again, you'll see the roundabout does provide faster is what this represents, traffic flows through the intersection, both during the peak hours as well as in 2046 and 2026 models. As we look into safety, which I think we can all probably agree that is the most important factor in this project, and it's also been one of the main concerns raised by the community. The design differences between a roundabout and signal leads to different outcomes, as you can kind of see on the screen here. Roundabouts reduce overall crashes by 39%, and serious injury crashes drop by nearly 90%. Compared to two-way stops, all-way stops, and signals, roundabouts also show a 76% reduction in injury crashes. And so why is that? For me, coming again from kind of the outside on this project and jumping into it, I want to understand why a roundabout may have better safety results or metrics. And really, this diagram is one of the biggest highlights of why why we find that, and it's really based in the conflict points. At a signalized intersection, which is what you can see on the left of your screen, there are 32 vehicle conflict points and 24 pedestrian conflict points, as opposed to a roundabout that's going to have 8 conflict points for vehicles and 8 for pedestrian conflicts. The types of crashes are also different. Signals are more prone to T-bone collisions, whereas on a roundabout, you're going to see lower speed side swipes. So when we go back to that last slide there on the severity of crashes, most importantly, serious injury crashes drop by nearly 90%. And that's really where you're seeing that come from. Roundabouts naturally are going to slow traffic to 20 to 25 miles an hour as you enter that intersection on a roundabout. Whereas when you look at a traffic signal, you may see people trying to rush to beat a yellow light, for example. Again, when we're looking at reduced speeds, and this is just generally speaking, regardless of roundabout or traffic signal, you're looking at just the different outcomes in terms of pedestrian survival rates based off of speeds. And again, you're obviously seeing a much, much better outcome at 20 miles an hour than, say, at 40 miles. It is a huge impact.
Again, the roundabout being considered for design is for speeds of 20 to 25 miles per hour. And again, that's where the severity of those crashes are reduced. Again, let's see, skip that. As we continue to look at bicycle and pedestrian safety, I wanted to kind of show a map here. So those familiar with Vineyard Drive may see that on the, let's see, that would be the south side of Vineyard Drive. You'll see that there is no existing sidewalk. That's something that could be installed, but it would be outside of what we presently are proposing in terms of scope of cost for either the roundabout or the traffic signal. And so you'll see these yellow lines are really the crossing points. So I would suspect that most people would cross here where there's connections on both sides. And so you see being able to cross from, say, the south side of Dove north and then over to Vineyard. Again, the north side of Vineyard Drive could be incorporated. There is space there for a sidewalk, but it would require that installation cost. Looking at an actual traffic signal and the pedestrian and bicycle aspect to it, one of the biggest items that was discussed during the public meeting and really is one of the biggest advantages of a traffic signal is the signalized crosswalk with the lighting to indicate when it's safe to cross. And I think we're all familiar with signalized crosswalk, but again, that's going to be a major difference between what you see at a roundabout versus what you see at a traffic signal. Again, same image, but this time with a roundabout, you're going to see those yellow lines showing the sidewalk connections. Again, I'll repeat, you can install a sidewalk on the north side, but that's currently outside the scope of what's being proposed, and that's primarily financially driven, but that can be altered based on a financial commitment. So as you're looking at this design, you're going to see the crosswalk here, for example, on Dove is set back from the highway, and we'll talk about a couple treatments that a roundabout can have to help support bicycle and pedestrian safety. But one advantage of a roundabout is that you are seeing shorter distances for pedestrians to cross. So they are crossing one lane at a time with traffic flowing at one way at a time. So it's a much simpler cross for a pedestrian on a roundabout, and that goes back to those conflict points that we were talking about earlier. I also wanted to note again, we saw some comments about the parks there on each side of Dove and Vineyard, and we don't see a high volume of people crossing from park to park, but it does really highlight the importance of considering bicycle and pedestrian safety. Both those parks are probably closer to a half mile away from this intersection. However, again, we expect people to use the intersection, and so we want to make sure we're being as safe as we can with these crossings. Looking at a few treatments here, and by treatments I really mean ways that you can help make a roundabout friendlier and safer for pedestrians and cyclists. So this is the first treatment that I'll go through, and what you see here is flashing beacons. And so here on the left image with the crosswalk, you can see it installed. These could be solar or electric, and they can flash. There's different versions that you can install, but there's different flashing beacons that can notify drivers that a person is wanting to cross that space. Additional treatments include high visibility crosswalks, as well as pedestrian refuge islands. And so what a refuge island is this middle space right here. And so again, going back, these are 2-lane roundabouts here, but you'd be crossing one lane at a time with traffic going one way, being able to pause at a refuge island, and then continuing your crossing depending on traffic flows. And so what we see in the results of this is bicycle and pedestrian safety being reduced at, or being improved at roundabouts. You see the percentages being reduced at a roundabout for safety purposes for a pedestrian and cyclist.
So the data shows that roundabouts can reduce pedestrian crashes by 30 to 40% and bicycle crashes by about 10%. And again, things like flashing beacons, offset crossings, high visibility crossings, all that can help to mitigate any issues as far as that. Again, lower vehicle speeds is also a major impact with a roundabout being at 20 to 25 miles an hour. As we look at maintenance cost, really the biggest difference is the signal itself, of course. This is referencing long-term expenses, maintenance, and a signal does require a specially trained staff member to keep that synchronized and keep that maintained. Of course, you also have the electrical side of costs as well, the PG&E end, but you do see a higher cost to that. A roundabout, you may see landscape in the middle. I've seen stamped concrete as well, but there may be some lesser associated maintenance costs relating to that, but you will see more long-term costs with the traffic signal. Cost comparison is very difficult because we're so early in this process. We've talked about different numbers. You will see about a 20 to 30% increase between a traffic signal and a roundabout being the less expensive option. We've given these estimates here just because we are likely a couple years away from this project being mobilized and constructed, and so it's difficult to project that too closely, but just as a reference, again, we've put in a traffic signal over at Ortega, Lita, and Pioneer that came out to just over 6.5 million, and we're seeing Wilmont roundabout looking possibly more in the 5 million range. So each of those projects is different, but you kind of get an idea that there is a 20 to 30% cost reduction for a roundabout. Just kind of backing up and looking at the overall of kind of the categories that we've looked at here. Yeah, you're seeing stronger performance for the roundabout in areas such as level of service, traffic flows. That would be your operation comparison and your intersection comparison. You're also seeing safety and bicycle coming out ahead for the roundabout as opposed to the traffic signal. Worth highlighting again that the no build really results in some really deteriorated conditions over time. And again, the right of way and utility impacts are the same between both the roundabout and traffic signal options. Another advantage that kind of came out of the public meeting that I think we really recognized is just the traffic signals do have the advantage of being more familiar with drivers. And so as we look at this, we see the metrics and we see the data favoring roundabouts, but residents and users, I think it's fair to say that they are consistently more familiar and just used to how a traffic signal works, and also, again, the signaled crosswalks that a traffic signal provides. And so that's really where we're seeing those public comments really driving from. And so, again, that's why we're here tonight, is to discuss where we want to take this project. And so getting into the next steps, we are seeking recommendation. We're looking to move this project forward. As I mentioned, this project's been getting carried on for quite some time, and it is an important intersection, again, for our traffic, for our public safety, and just really for the future of the city. So we're looking for a recommendation from City Council tonight on a preferred alternative. As we move on past that, we'll get into a detailed design as well as the environmental process, utilities, and of course, securing construction funds. We have some funding from Measure V. We'll be trying for some funding from CMAQ. There will be some developer impact on this project. And so we will continue to pursue funding, and obviously which preferred alternative that is will not only allow us to identify those costs, but also pursue things like grants with some level of certainty. Getting into the sources here, we have those provided if anybody would like to reach out. Before I get to questions and everything, I did have some appendices here. You'll see those in your packet. So I have some kind of example pictures, and we can reference those as needed. I also have
the Caltrans live videos prepped up if you'd like to see those again. I know Caltrans presented that in April, I think, to City Council, and those are live feeds for possible roundabouts that are throughout the state. There are challenges, of course. There's a few roundabouts that's like in Santa Barbara area that are in more populous area that just don't have cameras just yet. There's a couple other projects. Did want to highlight, just before I hand off for questions, the Plymouth location. You do see some houses there. It's along State Route. I think that's 49. And so that runs through their main street in Plymouth, and you can see some homes. There's some businesses as well that run through there, and that is open. And actually went through there not too long ago. So yeah, I'm available for questions, and I appreciate everybody. I'm sorry that was so long, but I wanted to be thorough. Thank you.
I think maybe you could tell us a little bit about the success of roundabouts throughout the state that, like what I know has been discussed in back April, I guess it was that demonstration. How's things going in Hollister, and how's things going in Gustine? Maybe we could just get a little bit of that, how the roundabouts are working.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you like to speak to that? Sorry.
Huh?
I'll save it.
So good afternoon, everyone. I think, like I mentioned last time, the one in San Benito County, Hollister one, Route 20 and 156. That's 2-lane roundabout and turbo roundabout, and we're not proposing that.
Right.
165, actually, Dove and 160, 25. I'm sorry. So we're not proposing that. It's going to be a single-lane roundabout, as you saw in one of the feed for the Route 88 and Liberty Road. It's going to be similar to that, and so basically, I mean, as Joe presented in the presentation, it's much safer because of the less conflict points than signals. So we definitely when it's evaluated through the process, it just comes higher on the scale and is more safer with less conflict points. And so that's what is overall in short observation, and that's what is that's what we see all the time. And I think you mentioned one other. I didn't pick the last one, but this is the in general.
Yeah, I know Gustine just.
Oh yeah, Gustine. I think it works fine. I mean, it's something we when we was inaugurated, we had opportunity to see it, and I think Anand. Oh, there you are. So we did have. I'm not sure if we showed last time. I think we probably did in one of the public meetings. It accommodates all STA trucks, and we have seen those videos. And I know we have one Iran, and you can definitely confirm that. So it's operating pretty good, and it has the safety features there. But we're looking at a little bit more enhanced version where you can push button and you can see when you're crossing. We call it a rectangular rapid flashing beacon. That really helps alert the drivers as they get in an intersection.
Yeah. I know there's only sidewalks on the north side that will cross 165. I actually think that's safer, only having one crossing instead of having crossings on both sides of the roundabout. Do you see a lot of times that they'll have crossings on both sides of the roundabout or on one side?
Well, it depends. It depends on the ped volume, and I just heard from Joe they're parked on both sides. So it typically when vehicles are entering, it's a pretty tight entry speed. I mean, so it's like 20 miles an hour. So that could be one of the locations. And then departing sometime, it depends on what exactly is the demand for the pedestrian traffic. And that way, when it's designed, I know Ed and team, you guys can look at more closely how the ped volume is. If needed, can be on both sides. And I did see in the presentation, the highlighted crosswalk, that really helps a lot. Yeah, this one. So this is, I see, it's 2-lane roundabout. And so high visibility crosswalk really is another way, another treatment can be done to enhance pedestrian visibility as they're crossing the crosswalk. So yeah, it's the geometry and the lighting plays another big role if you're crossing in the nighttime. So those are the entry radius, the lighting, and also the visibility of crosswalk and rectangular rapid flashing beacons. Those are some of the features. If you add, it can definitely enhance safety and make more pets more comfortable to cross it.
I have one more question. Have you ever pulled out a stoplight and put in a roundabout?
What was the question again?
Have you ever pulled a stoplight out of an intersection and created a roundabout?
I have heard about it in one of the other districts. We can definitely research and get back to the council, but yes, we have done it. Because it was actually, even with signal, there were crashes which were much more higher than normal. So they went ahead and took out the signal and installed roundabout. I have definitely heard about it, and I know one of those folks are retired, but I can definitely do more research and provide that information to the council.
I can think about 14 stoplights I'd like to remove in our town.
Oh, did you any research on that?
Yeah,
oh, okay.
sure.
We can definitely work on it if need be.
Yeah, it might be an answer. Who
He's
knows?
talking
For the
about
future.
getting rid of the intersections on 152 for roundabouts. All 14.
So no, just to, I mean, I've been to some of the TRB sessions, and I've seen it's in Illinois actually, one of the cities. I don't recall, maybe Ed may remember, they took out all the signal intersection and installed like at least a dozen roundabouts in Illinois, and they have taken out, and it looks much different landscape. You don't see all the poles. It's much calmer and more complete streets friendly. People can walk, cross, bike. So it is a lot different. Maybe that's what you're referencing to, but we have done one in California also.
Yeah, well, the T-bone is the most, besides head-on.
Yes.
In intersection, T-bones are so dangerous, so.
Yeah. I mean, roundabouts, you probably get side swipes or maybe somebody it depends on speed, somebody rear ends, but not severity is less than the signal intersection where you can, somebody's running red light, there's less possibility of avoiding some kind of injury.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from?
Yeah. Have you ever had anybody take out a roundabout, put the lights back in?
Roundabouts with what?
Have you ever had anybody take the roundabout out and put lights in?
Oh, no.
No, okay, I'm just curious.
No, I haven't heard it. No, it's good. I mean, I haven't not heard that somebody took roundabout and put signals. No.
Gotcha. And not to get away from this, but Volta and 152, is that going to go in before this particular intersection?
Most likely, yes. But city brings a lot of speed into projects, so it can go faster than our project. You never know. It depends on the approving review process. And I know, it can go. It can come sooner than the Volta one.
Just curious.
Yeah, it's gonna and like Mayor said, once you have one roundabout, you see the outcome, and people get comfortable with driving through it.
Yeah, I think the only concern we might have is, people are comfortable with the roundabouts if they're in the neighborhoods versus the highways. So many different people are coming through and might not be used to them, and confusion and stuff like that. So I'm kind of curious to see what Neuron's thought is on a roundabout in Gustine, since you've had to deal with it. What are your thoughts on that?
You can open up the public
Oh,
hearing.
you got to open that up if I ask a basic question?
We're going to call him up a little bit. He can
Okay.
answer it.
I was just curious to hear that. What about the department heads? I got questions for them.
Yeah, ask them.
Chief Tuala and Chief Reyna, what are your thoughts on roundabouts? I mean, how does that impact your guys as far as having to deal with responding to fires or chasing people or?
Want to go first, Chief? Or you good?
There you go. One a year. One a year.
We would like to see the roundabout, actually, especially coming in through 165 to slow that traffic down as it comes into town. For us, we want to see the increased traffic safety for both pedestrians and bicycles that may come through there. So for me, and knowing how many folks that we deal with, vehicle versus pedestrians, in town, a whole lot more than some of my other agencies that I've worked for. So I'd like to see that increased safety with that.
Deborah, you have something?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was going to approach the chiefs about this because one of the concerns that I would have with a roundabout, especially on a highway, is will they be able to hear you coming? And they're already in the intersection or about to enter in, and it slows down your ability to get to your point to service a resident. I know that on a four-way intersection, that a control can be installed where our fire and police department can control that light and make all four sides red so they can get through. And even with that, there's still a caution where they're going to slow down a bit to make sure that they're able to get through. But that was one of my big concerns about the roundabout, is with them being able to get in. Now, I look at some of these pictures that are in the packet. One appears to be in a residential area where there's a crosswalk, and then you have these, it looks like a small beacon sign over the human being on the sign that's crossing. But for this highway, when you have a beacon, is the beacon going to be for the traveling? Is it going to be on the north and south end of 165, or where is it going to be located? Because I can only imagine if some big truck or some vehicle, and as human beings decide that they want to disobey the traffic laws and go faster than the 20-25 miles that's designated for this, as they enter the curve and exit it, and that crosswalk's on the north end, I can only imagine they're going to start accelerating as they come out of that. And in this day and time, with the human nature of people, especially young people, and I've seen adults as well, they're on their cell phones. They're not paying attention to traffic. They're crossing the street while they're using these electronic devices, and it could be dangerous for them as well as someone driving through. So that's still one of my big concerns is, the beacon I understand, but is it going to be large enough for a truck who can't stop very fast as they're coming from the south or coming from the north, traveling through this roundabout, to be able to see that, oh, here's a little bitty sign, it's flashing, I can't brake fast enough to get through. And this roundabout is scheduled for, what, 2025? I don't know if these residential ones that are in the packet that we have are the 1520. I would assume that they are.
Which one you're talking about, this one?
I'm talking about for the beacons. So we have a picture in our packet that shows a residential area with a beacon in it. I'm only going to assume that that's a 15, 20 mile an hour roundabout rather than a 20, 25 mile roundabout.
It's going to be very similar, and I know, Ed, you can confirm that, because it's going to be, it all depends on geometry. And before I leave the podium, we just completed a Complete Streets project in Riverbank through Highway 108, and you can control the geometry. And I don't have a video with me right now, but I walk literally, and people do follow on both sides, because we push the button and you think other side will stop or not. So you can control the speed of any vehicle with geometry. And if you see curves and things, trucks have to slow down. They don't want to run over their wheels, so we're going, unless they're mountable, which they are on the apron. So even departing, when you're departing the roundabout, it can be controlled by geometry, and I know Ed can talk more about it, but that's what is my observation, recent observation, where it took quite a bit of time to do that project. It's not roundabout, but it still have large trucks going through it, and again, there's tomato area too, the ag area in Stanislaus County, and also fire access truck. We made sure that they're able to make a turn. Because there was some bulb outs type thing, you're constraining the roadway to go slow, and we got approval from the fire department there, Stanislaus County Fire Department. So geometry plays a big role, and all the treatments, kind of using what Joe was saying, treatments for high visibility crosswalk and rectangular rapid flashing beacon, it contributes a lot to slowing down people, no matter how fast you like to drive, but that's the way it goes. So.
And you know, we have commercial trucks and vehicles that are on straightaways and enter into a curve, and you know, they take the chance of not slowing down enough to get through that curve, and then you know, you have tomato trucks all over the place that are turning over. I have a friend that's in the insurance adjustment business, and he spends 90% of his time in the Fresno Valley and up in Stockton dealing with commercial trucks that are not obeying speed limits. So, you know, I'm the one that has to be convinced up here about this roundabout. I'm not excited about it. I guess maybe I'm just a bit old-fashioned about, especially this highway controlling traffic with a signal. I know it's less costly for Caltrans, and it's less costly for the city, you know, because of maintenance on these. But point of impact is not necessarily just a side swipe, because if somebody's entering in and another vehicle is coming, there still could be a T-bone on a roundabout. That's not something that's not impossible to do. So I still have my concerns about a roundabout being on a freeway and with this much residential homes impacting that area. So I thank you, Mayor, for the time, and I still have to be convinced. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
So I did a lot of research on this, trying to figure out, because everything that we're hearing is roundabouts are better than traffic lights in pretty much every way. All the data that Joe had and what we're hearing. And pretty much what I found backs that up. There's a few really specific cases that I found that traffic lights may or may not be better. This doesn't meet any of those cases. I think the biggest problem that I hear from people is they're scared of it because it's new. Like they're not used to it. And that's just like anything. I mean, my wife is an example. She hates going to the Bay Area because just merging onto the freeway is terrifying for her. She grew up in Gilroy. She lives here now. A 4-lane freeway getting on in traffic is absolutely terrifying, which is the way a roundabout feels, I think, the first time you get on it. So I think it's the future. You see them all over California. I drive quite a bit. The first time I saw the one in Hollister, the first time I drove through in Plymouth, it's confusing. But the second time, the third time, the fourth time, it's not a big deal. Like this is the future. I think all of the data backs up that this is really the way to build intersections now. So I don't know why we wouldn't do it.
I think the only one that doesn't do well is the turbo.
Yeah, that's a pretty advanced roundabout.
Yeah,
it's a European, it came from Netherlands, and we had, I think, probably only 2 in the U.S. And I think that's what is my understanding. They have added more. I think first one is in Florida, and this is the one in California. So, yeah.
On another note, separate of this, the synchronization of the lights down 152. It seems like there's improvement there. I've seen that. So that's
Thank you.
Good.
Yeah, we worked really hard on that project with City, and was part of a safety task force a few years back, and we did quite a bit of improvements to improve safety through the Pacheco 152 corridor. Just not that synchronization, even the other safety elements we installed. So no, thank you. That's really helpful, good feedback, and we continue to monitor, and as we refine and. What I just heard, if it can be all roundabouts, that could be another possibility. We can synchronize roundabouts.
Well, you know, to talk a little bit about Mayor Pro Tem's concern, I was really concerned when they put the crosswalk at Scripps Road and 165. And I go that way a lot, and I'm surprised how effective it is for slowing down and stopping the traffic. I don't know if there's been any accidents there. You know, I haven't heard of any, but I think that is just a straightaway that they have to come to a stop. I'm for the roundabouts. I wasn't at the beginning, but I was won over after reading the materials and the presentations you made and everything like that. And now I think it is the future. And I think, you know, when you look at my work is on the east side of 165 and 152. So I go through that intersection. I've been through it 1,000 times, and probably even more. And I've noticed when it starts really backing up, and this is what my biggest concern is after about 12 seconds of a green light, then the traffic starts moving, and the next 20 seconds, you'll get 3 times more traffic through the intersection than at the beginning. And then the light, turns yellow and turns red. And it's that backup which is the killer. And so if the lights could stay on longer, you can move a lot more traffic in another 20 or 30 seconds. I know you know all this. I know you understand that. And I think that's what the problem roundabouts do not have. Since you're not stopping the traffic, you don't have that. Someone's on the phone, looking at their phone, the light turns green, and then, and then they start going through, and then the traffic just starts to pick up, and then you get some movement through the intersection. So I'm for roundabouts, and I think it'd be really good at that intersection. I do like that it only shows one crossing of 165 on one side. I think that would be safer. I don't think that's a big deal, We did that at 7th Street with the crossing of the bridge years and years ago. So anyway, that's my thoughts on it. And in the future, maybe we can take away some of these stoplights that we already have in place. So this is a recommendation. Anybody else have any comments? Okay, recommendation to staff. You have just what everybody wants. So Evan, you're for it? I'm for it. Marcus?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so you got three. You didn't actually take a vote? Okay. Mr. Breezy wants a vote, so let's do roll call, please.
Roll call, or do you want them to state what they want?
Just to state what you want, Cole.
Sanders.
Roundabout.
Roundabout. Chavez.
Roundabout.
Lewis.
Four-way stoplight.
Hammerville.
Roundabout. Okay. Anything else?
No,
Thank you
just
very much for being here. And Joe?
just wanted to thank them, so thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
We appreciate you making the trip down. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Okay. Item 10 is consideration approval of the City Council Resolution 6986, appointing a city manager and approving the authorization and execution of the Los Banos City Manager Employment Agreement. And with this, I'll turn it to our interim city manager, Gary Breezy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Excuse me. Tonight for your consideration is an agreement with Niron Than for the permanent city manager appointment. And for legal purposes, I'm going to read some of this information, so I apologize in advance. I'll try to make it as exciting and quick as I can, so I'll get going. As you all know, the City Council began the process of recruiting a new city manager back in February of 2025. Excuse me, let me back up. During that process of recruitment, we flew the position, interviewed folks, finalized the list, and came up with a finalist. And then from that group of finalists, we chose, or the City Council, I should say, has chosen a particular applicant, that being Niron Than, sitting there and looking nice tonight. Thank you, Niron, and your family for being here. Speak a little bit about Mr. Than. Throughout his professional career, he's developed extensive experience in municipal government, public works, and civil engineering. He has served as city manager, public works director, city engineer, leading teams in city operations, infrastructure planning, and community development. Has been responsible for major capital improvement programs, multi-million-dollar budgets, and strategic initiatives that strengthen regional collaboration and support sustainable city growth. If you appoint Mr. Than tonight, his appointment agreement is approved. He will begin serving as the new city manager on November 3rd. That is Monday, November 3rd. That's technically his first date here at work. He will officially take the position on Sunday the 1st, I think it is. Payroll, yes, payroll-wise the 1st. His agreement is for an initial 3-year term beginning November 3rd, 2025 and ending November 3rd, 2028, with an optional 2-year extension. The terms and conditions of the proposed employment agreement are comparable to other city manager positions within the Central Valley region. And the agreement provides for some of the following salary and benefits. The term and any extended term may be extended by mutual agreement of the parties. In the event that the term or any extended term is not extended by mutual agreement of the parties, this agreement and the employment relationship shall end without further action by the City Council. His annual base salary will be $238,000 a year, or $19,900 per month, which is just under halfway through the city manager scale. He will receive a step increase of 5% of employees' base salary effective November 3rd, 2026, November 3rd, 2027, and November 3rd, 2028. If you grant the 2-year extension, he will receive another 5% in 2029, and his final 5% in November of 2030. There's no COLA associated with this agreement. Down below that next is he is, just like all other full-time employees, has access to medical care, dental, vision, life insurance, CalPERS retirement, retiree health savings plan, deferred compensation, sick leave, vacation, administrative leave as a manager, education incentive pay, bilingual pay. In this case, Neron will receive a car allowance of $550 per month and a cell phone allowance of $100 a month. The fiscal impact of this was taken into consideration during the preparation of the 25-26 fiscal year budget, and this salary range and all of the other benefits that I described to you are all within the anticipated cost for this position. So we do not anticipate any problems carrying out this agreement if you so choose to approve it. And that is all I have to say for tonight. Mr. Mayor, council members, I am open for any questions.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start it. So, like Gary said, this started in February, hiring a firm, Ralph, and the council's, well, I don't know, we had, I think, 5 meetings in 1 month over this in closed session. Surprisingly, because I've been through this quite a few times in my career, we had 41 applicants starting off with. That's really surprised me. And then we kept on, like Gary said, we kept on narrowing it down and making sure who qualified, fit what the council wanted. And then we narrowed it down to 2, and Iran being one of the 2. And then we had, through this, we're doing interviews and Zoom calls, and we're doing all this stuff with all the applicants. And after the council decided we wanted to offer the job to Neuron, I think it was, at least to me, it was a relief that we're offering you the job. You had a lot of really good competition, and so I commend you for coming to the top of a lot of really good competition. And so I think what it really boils down to me is he's intelligent, of course, we all know that, just look at the resume. But he cares about our city. And I think that really, the newspaper interviewed me, and I said that in the newspaper, but that's really what it comes down. I think the bottom line is we need someone that cares about our community. We don't need someone who just wants to do a job. And of course, he's somebody that we can all work with, because the council works very close with the city manager. That is our point. We have all these employees, but we go through the city manager with every decision, basically, that we want. So I'm very looking forward to working with him, and if the council approves his agreement tonight, I think we're going to have very good progress in the city. Gary has done an excellent job as being interim here for us, and I know the staff will welcome you, and I'm looking forward to working with you. And I'll open it to the city council. Anyone else would like to say anything? Anyone? I think I probably said it all. So with that, we need a motion.
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to consider the approval of the City Council Resolution Number 6986, appointing by city manager and the approval and authorization of the execution of the Los Banos City Manager Employment Agreement.
Okay, we have a motion and second as stated, and this is for Resolution 6986. Any further questions or comments? Not hearing any, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it unanimously. So I'm going to offer you the mic real fast if you just want to say hello to, I know most people know you anyway, but you could say a couple of words. And I think Councilmember Chavez has a question about a roundabout too, so.
Put me on right on the spot on
Yeah.
the first night, Mayor. And I prepared, a 5 pages thank you letter or so, but I was told to be concise. So I will keep that concise. I'm going to skip the first jokes, something about me looking like 12 years old, so I'm going to skip that one. We'll go straight into the all seriousness. I do stand before you today very honored and humble to come back home to work for the community that I live in, the community that I walked every sidewalks and streets for and used to do a lot of the project in the last couple of years. So thank you very much for your trust and confidence in me to be able to come back to Los Banos. Your dedication to Los Banos and the vision for its future really inspire me, and I really want to continue to work with you side by side to build on those foundations that you have already laid just in the last 6 months alone. And of course, I can't do this all by myself, so I want to thank you to my family and friends that are here tonight and some that I cannot make it tonight. They are really my anchor to keep me grounded. They show me a lot of support, encouragement, and patience to help me carry through all of these challenges and the triumph that I have faced throughout my career. And I also want to thank the Los Banos staff, actually most of you that I have already worked with. I'm very excited to work with you again, to support you, and of course to grow with you. And more than anything, to continue that culture of openness, collaborations, and innovations. Again, I'm very excited, so let's build something that's lasts, build some things with purpose, and hopefully that we can make all our residents proud to call Los Banos home. Thank you, Mayor.
Excellent.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you very much.
Well, I can speak on it. Yeah. You didn't answer the question about the roundabout.
Council member, so the Gustine roundabout was 12 years in the making. So I was actually fortunate to be a part of it during construction. So the design work went through some of the things that you went through, but overall, the overall perception that you see tonight when it comes to public use of the roundabout was very challenging. There was a lot of oppositions. There's a lot of tomato truck coming in because that is Highway 33 and 140. We got 6,000 cars a day going through that intersections. It was two-way stops. We got a lot of T-bones. We got a lot of accidents. That's why that project ended up being an operation and a safety improvement for the community. It took about a year to build that roundabout. We had to shut down the intersections because that was the most cost-effective way. It impacted the community quite a bit. But overall, once the project's actually completed, we've actually interviewed quite a few folk that was actually speak against it, and they were actually now really very much for it. I walk that roundabout on a daily because it's right next to my office. Really, the only thing that I see as an issue is that I now have a bunch of steamed tomatoes around it. That's we have to clean. And Gustine's known for our parade. The roundabout being centralized in that location actually helped us tremendously, especially when it comes to road closure, allowing proper circulations. And just like Los Banos, we have worked with public safety. Our police officer went through that no problem. We actually have not, knock on wood, have not seen any accidents since it was open since November of last year. Our fire trucks went through that no problem. We had the same concerns on the first day that roundabout opened. All the council member and the mayor sitting there in that fire at the gas station waiting for a semi truck to come. Luckily, Saputo's do us a favor and bring their semi with a double in the back, and it went through the roundabout no problem. I mean, the engineers really did their due diligence. They built a lot of the mountable curb and stuff, so that way it really accommodated the longest truck possible that would be allowed on Highway 152. So overall, we had a pretty good experience to a point that now we have two more actually planned for Gustine. One smack in the middle of downtown where the Christmas tree used to be, and the other one where we have a funky 5-lake intersection that's coming up. So, I'm pretty excited about it.
Good. Thank you.
Well, you're on. I want to say congratulations. You got some big shoes to fill with Gary Breeder. I don't know if you're going to fill these shoes. This guy's he's amazing. He's done a great job, and I think he's going to be handing over something that's in very good order, and you know him already, so that's something you can look forward to. I would say, going through the process for looking for the next city manager, one thing that was important was somebody that lived here, and you're from here, and your wife also works here, which is fantastic. You guys are based here versus other people that were wanting to apply, come from other areas. I don't know about all that, but I would say the one thing that stuck with me the most is, back in May, we ended up going to Washington, D.C. for, One Voice. Got to spend some time with you, but, of course, we didn't know we'd end up here. But, got to see you outside after hours, away from what we went there for. And the guy that showed up for the interview was still the same guy. It wasn't a different person interviewing. It wasn't, polished up or anything. I think that was the biggest impact, because that was the real you the whole time. Nothing ever changed. People can have all the certificates, degrees, experience, and all this other stuff, but it comes down to character and someone's values and morals and stuff like that. And I think that said a lot about you.
Thank you.
All right. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, let's see, the next item. And just to let everybody know, there'll be overlap of Gary working and Neuron working together, so it's a smooth transition for the change in employees. The next item is item 11, is council member request regarding rental properties. And with this, I will move it to our Mayor Pro Tem, Ms. Lewis.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I had requested this to be put on the agenda for council approval to be put on our regular agenda because recently we had a situation where we leased one of our city buildings to an outside organization, and we didn't have any scheduled cost as to what the lease should be in regards to square footage and price. And I don't believe the city has ever, and I may be wrong, has ever had a professional organization do a commercial evaluation on all of our property that we rent and lease out to either private organizations, 501c, whatever the case may be. So my request this evening is that we hire a commercial agency, organization to evaluate and determine what our rate should be for all of the properties that we rent and lease out in the community, so that it takes the burden off of our staff to try to come up with a dollar amount. We really should know what our property is worth. So that's my request. And so I'm asking for council to consider this so we could put it on the agenda.
So my question is, how are we going to go about doing that?
Minnie, you want to take that one?
Sure. So my recommendation would be to put an RFP together for a market rate study for city-owned properties following Government Code Section 52201, and making sure that we get proposals in and give us the evaluation and the market rate that we're looking for all of our properties and all of our rentals.
Okay, and I guess there's a cost to that too, right?
There will be a cost to that.
Okay, so what does everybody think on the council about that? Any problems? Okay, let's, I guess the thing to do these days is Lucy call our names and we say yes or no.
Okay, Sanders.
Yes.
Chavez.
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
Amabile.
Yes. Okay, thank you. And then we'll move on to item 12, is city department reports, and we'll start with Director Souza Elms.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So one item I would like to bring to the council's attention is that we will be holding a public meeting on September 25th at 6 p.m. At the community center, and this is regarding a general plan amendment to our general plan, our 2042 general plan. This amendment is going to be focused on removing the bypass, and this is so that it can align with our upcoming transportation master plan. Within that transportation master plan, it is analyzing circulation within the city without the bypass. So we need to update the general plan so that it's not in conflict with that upcoming master plan. And by doing that, then we'll need to adjust some of the sphere of influence because it follows the curvature on the northern area of where the bypass goes within the general plan. So we'll need to adjust that, and we'll need to adjust land uses in that area to follow parcel lines and not the bypass. So again, that public meeting will be held on September 25th at the community center, and it'll be from 6 to 7:30. It'll be an open house format. We'll have a couple of easels up with the land use maps to show what the proposed change is and what the existing general plan shows. And we're going to be asking for feedback from the community regarding that upcoming plan. And that concludes my report.
Okay, and I just want to state that the chances of building a bypass along Los Banos like we worked years ago in the 90s and the 2000s is over. Caltrans will not build a bypass around Los Banos, but it was still in our general plan, so that's what Stacy's talking about. We have to remove it. It's not that we're against a bypass or for a bypass. It's pretty much out of our what is it, $1 billion now, $700 million to build a bypass, and Caltrans won't fund it anymore. And unfortunately, we lost that chance around 2007, but.
Right. And we need to be planning for transportation that's reasonable and feasible.
Exactly.
Instead of with a transportation plan that had an infeasible bypass within it.
Exactly. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, we'll go to Finance Director Moreno.
Good evening. I just wanted to remind our utility customers that we do have a new policy about disconnections for water service. So we do want to encourage our residents, if you have a high bill, to come and make arrangements, make a payment plan. If you have any type of financial necessity or medical condition, to fill out all the forms. The policy will be going into the utility bills, but we won't. We do want to make sure that we're giving them enough time to go ahead and come in and make their payment arrangements. We also have a finance manager that we just promoted, and so we're very excited for that. And we're working with our auditors, various auditors for the city. I think we have 4 or 5 at this time. And so we're working really hard to make all of our deadlines and get all these audits to you guys sooner. So that's all for me.
Great. Thank you very much. Fire Chief Twala.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Want to first off thank council and then city manager and finance. There's a couple things that we obviously were working through with budget. So one of them is our battalion chief position. So we're working on that. We should have testing done shortly. So we're excited to have those positions going. And then 2, this evening I brought our Type 6 wildland engine in. It's parked out front if anybody wants to see it. So I'm super excited about having that and be able to mitigate some of these vegetation fires without having to put our big red engines out on the field and having some damage to them. So super excited about that. In addition, we do have a firefighter starting tomorrow, so excited about getting these positions filled that we have. And we're still pushing forward, so thank you.
Great, thanks, Chief. That's a very well-designed vehicle, too, that's out in front there. Our Human Resource Director, Lucy, you have anything? Okay, thank you. Parks and Recreation, Mr. Heim.
Good evening. So I just want to highlight, I know I myself went out there a couple times this week, but Shaughnessy Park is coming along. So hopefully if you have the time, I know it's not on everybody's route, but if you have the time, take a drive into there and you'll start to see that park take shape. Some of the playground amenities have been installed, quite a bit of landscape, and you can kind of just see the shape of that park. We'll most likely be opening that park in the fall, except for the basin part. The basin will open as the grass grows in. So we'll probably keep that part fenced off until that comes in, but the top is looking great. We have our Salute to Seniors event. That's our 40th anniversary of that, our 40th annual Salute to Seniors. And that is on the last Friday of September. We also next month have our Halloween Fest, and just generally our fall in Parks and Rec is the busy time for us. Also wanted to highlight, we'll be releasing some flyers for some Parks public meetings coming up. So I think I have a breather on Public Works public meetings for a minute. So I'm going to try to do some Parks ones. So things like the South Point Basin out there, the pump track, and we have a few other projects. Vineyard B Park has one as well. So splash pad was one of the items also in the budget that we'll be doing a meeting on. Speaking of public meetings, I'll just kind of shift to Public Works if that's okay. And we did do a Pioneer public meeting last week, and our intention is to bring that item as an update to the October 1st council meeting. So we'll be able to provide council an update on that project and just an overview as well. I also wanted to give a thank you to our fleet team. So council has approved a number of equipment purchases, and those have started to come in, and I just really want to give a shout out to that team. They are short-staffed, and they've been that way for a while, and so we're working to fill those positions, but in the meantime, they're an awesome staff and have really tried to execute on ordering projects on equipment and vehicles, so appreciate their help. So thank you.
Great. Thank you, Joe. Chief Reyna, please, Chief Reyna.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just a few things. As you all remember, you approved our Axon agreement earlier this year. So this week, we completed additional training with our TASER 10 device. I missed it. I didn't get to see some of our officers, some of our training officers receive the TASER application. I myself have received it 3 times, and it is no fun. I'll tell you
video,
much.
Chief?
But that included our body cams, which I am also wearing. So we appreciate it. We appreciate the investment in our police department. These tools, we use them to keep ourselves and the community safe. A few other things I want to mention. The council also approved this is for the first time, a records supervisor. So for those of you who know Ashley Greco, she's been with at the police department for years as a records employee. She was promoted to the records supervisor. So Ashley's going to do a great job. Sergeant Ramon McDonald has been moved into the police administration position as a sergeant. He is a sergeant, so an admin position sergeant. And then we identified 4 police officer trainees over the last couple of months with the help from Human Resources. We spend a lot of time trying to identify people to send to the police academy that are going to work well for us. So we have identified 4. They will be attending the Fresno Police Academy, which begins at the end of this month. We also have another police officer that will be starting with us. He will be graduating the Delta Police Academy next month. We are also looking at one of his classmates. And then we also have a lateral police officer who lives in Los Banos, but he works for the Fresno Police Department in backgrounds now. So we're not done recruiting. We will be sending more officers to the police academy. I promise when they graduate, I'll introduce all of them to you. So we appreciate the support. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, our city manager's report, interim city manager, Gary Breezy. Gary.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, thank you. I think the choice of Neron is a great one. He is way smarter than I am. And I look forward to a very brief transition so that he can take the reins. I don't think it'll take very long with him at all. He is very aware of all of the projects that we've got going on. Even when he was in Gustine, we would exchange ideas on some of the Los Banos projects because he was so intimately aware of those. So I think that onboarding process is going to be seamless, and it's going to be really exciting. He's so young. He's got so much energy. You can tell he's got a lot of energy, and it's going to be good to be back home, I think, with him. And I think staff will embrace him, and his success is their success, and their success is his. So it's going to be a good time for the staff. I can't wait to see that happen. The roundabout, I'm just going to say this one real quick. Appreciate the vote on that. We just want to give staff the direction so that we can move forward with the thought that we have your support when we look for either funding mechanisms or we go before MCAG to ask for different types of things, whether it be studies or research or design money. We have your approval to do that, and that's fantastic. And I was reminded this morning, I've been doing a lot of walking around 5 o'clock in the morning out near the intersection of H and Badger Flat. And so right around that time, I've noticed that there are a lot of cars that go westbound on H Street out towards Santa Nella. They're either going to work at one of the plants, or I can't imagine they're going to the school at Charleston, but that fluctuates and gets big again during the school hours. And they stack 20 or 30 deep trying to get out, and they all have to stop at the stop sign, and they're the only cars at that intersection. So one car goes and the next one stops, and one car goes and then the next one. And so it takes forever. So I think it's a good investment in our future to look at that, because I think there are some benefits, and I think we will see the benefit as time goes by in these roundabouts. So thank you for that. My last comment for the night is that we hear public comment. This is the second time we've heard that about Chromium-6. We are all intimately aware about Chromium-6. We've talked about this previously. I would encourage, I believe his name is Mr. Flores, or anyone else who would like to talk about Chromium-6. We're an open book about it. We maintain a webpage at losbanas.org called Important Water Issues. Once you click on that, you're in the hexavalent chromium page. We have 6 or 7 different documents in both English and Spanish. And it talks about all of the things that I think could help some of our commenters in town learn a little bit more about the Chromium-6 issue, because it's an enormous issue. And if you go back to losbanas.org at the homepage, right at the top, it says contact city manager, something along those lines. You click on that button, it'll go straight to my email. You click on that, you can email me. I will talk to you until I'm blue in the face about Chromium-6 or anything else that I can talk to you about. One more comment. HR always says they've got no comments about what goes on. That's because 99% of the things that go on in HR are personnel issues. They've got a lot of stuff going on day in and day out. You all approved 19 new positions when we approved this fiscal year budget. There were 16 or 17 open prior to that to begin with. And so for each of those recruitments, there are hundreds of tasks or dozens of tasks with hundreds of applicants. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Talk a little bit about the airport. And he mentioned contamination at the airport.
Yeah, the city, there was a study that was conducted in, I want to say it was 2008. I can't recall the year, where, well, let me back up. I think that the main issue is that the water around the wells on the west side of town are contaminated far worse than they probably should be. We don't see that in any of our state mandated reporting requirements that the state has for us. The state of California Water Control Board, if I recall the name correctly, is one of the strictest regulating agencies in the nation as it relates to water quality. Those things are tested quarterly, multiple times a year, and we do not see the contamination that we've heard here tonight any more than we see with the hexavalent chromium. That is the only substance that we are over the threshold on, that we are required to send out mandatory notifications. Those water quality reports are on that Chromium-6 page too as well. So again, it's all things I'd be happy to talk about, and I'm going to stop rambling. Appreciate everyone. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for adding that. Councilmember Evan Sanders. Evan?
So there are a few things about the roundabout that I just want to make sure. I know that we're probably really premature on this because we haven't even talked about design, but I want to make sure that any lighting that we put there, the gentleman mentioned lighting, it's not affecting the houses because there's houses so close. So I want to make sure we're not putting big lights on the roundabout where these houses now have stadium lighting 24 hours a day. And then the other thing that I get concerned about, because I've seen basically videos on the internet of people using them as just tracks to do donuts. So some traffic calming measures of some kind that prevent that would be cool when we get into the design on that. And then the other concern that I have is that Vineyard becomes a de facto bypass on the north side of town, because we've seen that with other roads. San Luis is still really bad at times, but where people come down 165 and they just turn right on Vineyard, and then we end up with a whole other problem on the other side of town. So I don't know if there's anything we can do about that, but I think by opening up that road, we're going to open up a different can of worms. Not that we don't want that. I think it's going to be better regardless. It's just going to cause problems in other areas. So other than that, went to the animal shelter grand opening. I think all of us were there. That is such a huge improvement, and I almost went home with a puppy, but luckily I did not.
Almost.
I was going to welcome Darren. He's not here anymore, but that's fine. I think it's great that we hired somebody for the city manager position. I think our next meeting we'll have our last council member, and then we're at full strength, which is pretty cool. It's been a long time coming, but I'd be happy to see that happen. That's all I have.
Great. Thank you, Evan. Councilmember Marcus Chavez.
Yeah, like Evan said, we were all there at the animal shelter. That's a big deal. That took a long time. Want to thank the entire staff that worked on that, as well as the staff continuing to take care of the encampment with Chief Raynham, Public Works, and everybody else that's involved with that. I know that's not a solved issue, but it is an improved issue that's there currently. But I know it's taken some work to keep that maintained, but I haven't get a lot of comments about it that people, it's mostly positive. Of course, there's still concerns. I mean, it's not a perfect situation, which we understand. We didn't say we could solve it, but I think we made some tremendous strides for improvement, which I commend the staff for. They've done a great job there. And other than that, autumn's next week, so can't wait for the cooler temps. So looking forward to that.
Great. Thank you, Marcus. Mayor Pro Tem Deborah Lewis.
Thank you, Mayor. And I'd also like to congratulate Neuron Fan, and I think he's going to be a great addition to our community. A very intelligent young man. When he was here before, he handled multiple tasks of being not only our Public Works Director, engineer, but he was Director of Parks and Recreation at that time. So congratulations, Neuron, and I look forward to working with you. I was also at the grand opening of the animal shelter. I don't know if that little puppy that you almost walked home with, was that black and white spotted one? Oh, okay. There was a little black and white that someone just walked in the shelter with, and they found it on the road. It was the cutest thing. And so one of the shelter attendants kind of fell in love with it. So I hope that puppy got adopted out. But it was a very great opening. Thank you to our staff and the police department and all the volunteers that worked to help make this possible, and to the funding that we were able to use to purchase the building where the animal shelter is located. And look forward to the improvements on part of the old building that we have there for our animals. So we're well on the way, and it was a good grand opening. Just on the bypass, and maybe Stacy can help me remember this date, but it was somewhere in the mid 2015-16 where the state actually took that off the record. It just went away. So I doubt very seriously that they would even consider bringing that back as a possibility. So this is why we're working on the Pioneer Corridor to help alleviate some of the traffic off of 152. So we're well on the way of making sure that happens. I'll just give a brief report from the last Air Board meeting that I attended, which was in August. The big main two things of topic were wildfire activity. And we had some 12 plus fires that were going from May 2019 through August the 1st. And on August the 1st, the biggest fire was the Gafford Fire down in San Luis Obispo, which was 131,000 acres, 589, and it is now 268,906 acres. 268,000. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let me take that back. That was the total acreages of fires that were listed at that time, was 268,906 acres. As of now, the Gafford fire is roughly about 131 acres plus, still burning, but 98% containment. So hopefully they'll have that one out soon. The big one in our area is the Garnett Fire down east of Fresno, which is 59,800 acres, and it's only 87% in containment. We talked about ways for people who cannot afford a filter, air filter in their home. And if you do have one and there's fire going on, a lot of smoke and debris and ashes, is to put that equipment in one room and just have one safe room to be in to filtrate that room so that for people who have respiratory illnesses could feel a bit safer. And again, for those who can't afford one, a cheap way of making an air filter is taking a 20-inch box fan and buying a filter and putting it on the back end and having the air flow through that and put it in your room for filtering that room. So I know that one of our former Air Board members worked with, I think it was UCSF. They did a whole project in the city of Stockton to help build those fans for people who were not financially able to buy some sort of device to help them counteract the problems of bad air. So we still are doing pretty well in the valley, especially on this end. More so on the east end, they're having some issues with bad air, bad smoke. The federal standards for emissions, to make it a common language, has been lowered, just like they did with us with chromium-6. I think our standard was something like at 12 parts per billion, and now they've lowered it down to 9. So our ability to attain that is going to take some time here in the valley, and that's just kind of for our valley. It doesn't pertain to the outlying areas like LA and the Bay Area. So for me, it feels kind of like we're being picked on here. But nonetheless, the Air Board has done significantly well to be able to meet these emission standards by EPA and by the state of California CARB. And lastly, for the 25-26 state clean air funding requests, we have made a $2 million request for replacement of heavy-duty truck equipment for agriculture, and that would be tractors and for our farmers. There's still $7 million in the pending application for replacement, but we've had to close the applications down because there are way more applications of farmers requesting for help for replacing tractors than we have money. There is, of course, community air protection. We've requested $3 million on that. We had $60 million in appropriations from last year. And Clean Cars for All, which is a big program in our valley. We requested $100 million for that. And this is for people, and it's income verified for plug-in hybrids or hybrids, and it doesn't have to be a new vehicle, it could be a used vehicle. And the coup de grace to all of this is that the state has, as of August, had passed its state budget for 25-26, but as of that time, there was no funding allocated to any of the programs that we have, we usually fund for residents and for farming. So we're hoping that there'll be some change of heart coming up soon for state of California and its budgets. It's kind of a trickle-down thing. They say that the federal government's not sending money down, so they don't have anything to send. And so we just keep hope that something good is going to happen. And that's my report this evening, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. So, like Joe said earlier, it's the 40th anniversary, the Salute to Seniors on the 26th of this month. It starts off, I think, at 9 a.m., correct, Joe? And there's booths and to see what services are available for seniors and a lot of other people of different ages. And I want to say I've been to every one. It's hard to believe I've been to 40 of those. And, well, I guess I am old. But I do have that problem like Neuron has. Everybody thinks I'm like 12 or 13, but not really, not anymore. But anyway, so I'm looking forward to that in a week from Friday. We had dedication of the new Veterans Memorial at the Las Banas Cemetery. It was put together by the Native Sons of the Golden West. It was spearheaded by Robert Gerardo. He did a great job. If you go to the cemetery off a center and you look at where the flag is, right around that is a new memorial for each service, all the services, including the new space service, for a memorial for all our veterans. So that was really good to be a part of that. Again, the animal shelter was really good to see everybody. The one thing I left the animal shelter, I'm thinking about 5 years, we're going to have to expand it. It's really a good start, but I think we're going to have to maybe put the animals build something just for the animals in the back and use that space for the humans. So let's see, I spoke, as was said, the young lady said, at the econ class at Merced College. It was a great experience. I've talked to a lot of classes in my time, very knowledgeable, very good questions, asked me about everything, from economics of the city to business economics to everything that we're doing here. And I was very impressed. And Tim McNally, the professor, longtime Las Banas resident, is doing an excellent job. He has some very smart students in there. And I did talk to a young student, maybe in his mid-20s, Chief, I think he's just out of the Marines, and I told him to talk to you about maybe going into the academy. So he'll be contacting you, I think, in the next few weeks. It is Library Month, Library Card Month. So we invite everybody to go to our local library and get their free library card. I received mine yesterday. I used to have a library card. I still do somewhere. I couldn't find it though. But, and so go down to 7th Street there at the library and get your card. I've been to the library a lot over the last few years when they remodeled it and they did the landscape and everything. I was part of that. And I couldn't believe how many people were in it, in the library, using it, accessing all the books and computers, and a lot of young kids there too. So that was good to see. Also, I wanted to, the library is open Tuesdays through Saturdays at 10 a.m. So go visit. Also, talking about that, the Milliken Museum in that same Pacheco Park is open Tuesdays through Sundays, 1 to 4. And I know a lot of you haven't been there. And every time I go there, I find something very interesting about our history. And so if you get some time, go visit the Milliken Museum, 1 to 4, on Tuesdays through Sundays. You'll be pleasantly surprised. Let's see. I attended the Downtown Association Farm to Table dinner last weekend. A very nice event. It was at Tractor Museum on Phillips Road that was owned by David Sanas. We appreciate his willingness to let us use that as for the event. Farmer of the Year was Robert Silva, very deserving. Most of the Farmers of the Years from the past years were there. It was good to see everybody. The event was sold out, and so that's great. It used to be years ago was held on 6th Street, right in the middle of the street. Then it went to the plaza, and now it's at that museum. I'm not sure where it's going next year, but it's a nice event. It's a lot of donations to the FFA, and so you should try to attend in the future. Tomorrow I'll be attending my LAFCO meeting in Merced, and we'll be discussing the municipal service review for Los Banos. And I actually read it, if you want to believe that. And so we'll be discussing the EIR part of that review. And basically what that is like what Stacy was talking about. It's the general plan, it's services. So the general plan is usually a 20-year plan. And so it rates services that we have in place today and what we need to do within this 20 years to make sure we keep up with growth and whatever's projected. So we'll be working on that tomorrow at 10 a.m. at the Merced County Chambers. And let's see, MCAG is on a summer break. Their summer break's a little late this year because they were really busy the last couple of meetings, so there won't be an MCAG meeting tomorrow. So with that, that's all I have. Anything else anyone wants to add? Okay. So I appreciate everybody that stayed with us tonight. We do appreciate your attendance and watching us on TV or the internet. We'll be going into closed session, public employment, title city manager and city attorney pursuant to Government Code 54957B. And then we'll be discussing conference with labor negotiators, Government Code Section 54957.6. And we will be talking about everybody that works in the city, it looks like. The agency designated representatives, interim city manager Breezy, human resources director Melanie, city attorney Vaughn, legal counsel Tufo, employee organizations, Los Banos Police Officers Association, Los Banos Police Dispatchers Association, Los Banos Police Middle Managers Association, Los Banos Police Dispatchers, Community Services Officers Association, Los Banos Firefighters Association, Public Employees Union Local 1, and unrepresented miscellaneous employees. That just about covers everybody. And what now? Except us. We won't be talking about us. And so we'll be going to closed session. If any decision is made, we'll be coming out here to the public and taking a public vote and discussing it. But thank you for joining us. We're going into closed session at this time. Okay, we are back from closed session. Under closed session, we had public employment, city manager, city attorney, and conference with labor negotiations. Every, like I said earlier, department in our city and the non-representatives. Under a closed session, only direction was given, no action will be taken in the public. So this meeting is over. It's adjourned. Thank you.